Hi guys, in today's video we are going to be making a very easy and tasty oven grilled chicken. So for this recipe I'm going to be using hard chicken. If you are not a fan of hard chicken, you can go for the soft chicken, but in my own opinion I think the hard chicken tastes better, so I always like to cook with hard chicken. Now you can use any chicken parts of your choice. As for me, I don't like it too big, so I'm going to cut it into two, just like so. And you can carefully cut out the parts you don't like. For me, I'm cutting out the chicken butt because I don't like eating that. So after cutting the chicken, I went ahead to rinse it thoroughly, and now the next thing I like to do is to cut it open like this so that the heat can penetrate evenly and also the spices can get into every part of the chicken. So yeah, you need to do this step, but if you don't want, you can as well leave it. Now here are the rest of the ingredients we are going to be using for this chicken. I'm going to leave all the ingredients in the description box below so you can go and check it out. Now I'm going to cut my peppers into smaller sizes and add into my blender, and also I'm going to be cutting the onion as well. So when we are done cutting all the vegetables, we are going to start adding the rest of the spices. Now I just added about a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of dry basil leaves, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of Aromat. If you don't have Aromat, you can use seasoning cubes. I'm also going to be adding this Italian seasoning. This seasoning is so good for cooking meat. So I added a teaspoon of that. I'm going to be adding half a teaspoon of nutmeg. I will also be adding 2 teaspoons of the paprika. I want the color to be red, so that's why I'm adding 2 teaspoons. And I'm also going to be adding a teaspoon of curry powder and a pinch of salt. Now I'm going to be adding some extra virgin olive oil, let's say about 2 tablespoons of that. And finally, I'm going to be adding this oyster sauce. The oyster sauce will give it the smoky flavor and taste. If you haven't tried it with oyster sauce, just try it, you will love it. Now we are going to blend this until it is very nice and smooth without adding any water to it. Make sure you don't add water to it. So after blending, this is what it should look like. Now we are going to set that aside and set our oven. Just turn your oven on the way you normally use your oven. I'm not really good at prescribing the oven temperature. I've mastered my oven, so I think by now you should have mastered yours as well. I'm sorry about that, but just make sure your oven is set to medium heat, not too high and not too low, just medium. So once our oven is turned on, we are going to move over to the chicken. Just pour the marinade on the chicken and mix until it's evenly combined. And we are going to be leaving some marinade because we are going to use it to brush the chicken while it's still in the oven. So make sure you keep some marinade. After mixing everything, add it into your baking tray or baking pan And this is the marinade that is left or stocked in the bottom of the mixing bowl I used to mix the chicken. I'm just pouring it over the chicken. Remember, we still have some left in the blender, which we are going to be using later. So after that, we are going to put the chicken in the oven and let it grill for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, we are going to bring it out and brush it with the remaining marinade we left in the blender. But first, we are going to flip the chicken over to the other side and then brush the chicken with the remaining marinade. So once you are done with that, put the chicken back to the oven and let it grill for another 30 minutes. Now after 30 minutes, your chicken is ready at this point, but I'm going to garnish it with some parsley leaves. These leaves is going to give it a nice flavor and taste as well. This is just the finishing touch. So we are done, and this is what the chicken looks like. It is very juicy, very tasty, and so delicious. My goodness, this is so good. You really need to give it a try. It is so good. And do use the ingredients I use. If you use the combination of ingredients I use, you're going to get it perfect. Can you see my chicken? It is well and properly cooked, so juicy and so tasty. So guys, that is it. And oh wait, the chicken stock, we are not going to pour it away, of course. I'm using it for my stew because that day I was making stew. So I'm going to add the chicken stock into my stew. I'm done frying the stew. It's just to add water to it. So my water is going to be the chicken stock, and this stew tasted so good as well. I paired this chicken with white rice and stew, and it was so yummy. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in my next video.